What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Biancanero Zone with Anthony. It's been a while. Happy that he's back, and not so happy that he's back, but whatever. It is what it is. We're gonna talk about it. Last time we spoke was a day or two before we played, or a couple of days before we played Inter, and a lot has changed since that day. So first off, how are you doing, Anthony?
Thanks for having me, brother. It's good to be back. Always good to be back on this channel. Big fan. Great work. I know you're approaching 5K soon. Well
Yeah.
deserved. It can't be easy every single day to put your face in front of the camera and always have to continue that positive attitude for a negative cycle for your club. So make sure everyone's showing your appreciation. Like the video. It's really good to be here, and I promise to be as polite and humble as possible as always.
Nah, you shouldn't like like it is. Like I have friends, excuse me, or Inter fans. They're not polite. Like they're having fun and as they should, you know. Also subscribe to Anthony's channel. Link for that is in the description. So click that now. Even if you're not an Inter fan, it's still good content. And we have something coming up very soon. I'm gonna say very soon, something new. But we will announce that in due time. But now we're gonna speak on what happened since that game. We're not really gonna talk about the game because that's kind of pointless. That's been so long ago. But things have changed for both of us. You are, I don't know, sleepwalking to the title at this point. We are sleepwalking to Europa League at this pace. And I'm being nice, could be even worse at this moment in time. But how do you feel like on Inter? Because like I said, strolling to the title. However, you have been kicked out, or like you have been, uh, yeah, kicked out of the Champions League by Atletico Madrid. So, but overall feeling, what do you make of the last month and a couple of weeks?
Cool. Thank you. So, if I can just speak for myself, I'm a very mission orientated sort of person. I don't necessarily get sidetracked from major goals in my life, and that sort of mentality is what I took into this season. And it really depends what sector of Inter fans you ask. There's the sector of fans that mission second star was the be all and end all, and a lot of these fans are the ones that have followed Inter their whole life for decades. The ones that know as soon as you set foot in the country or Milano, the objectives become very clear. It's domestic dominance is what you really want. The Champions League is the ultimate goal, but we all know what it takes to win a Champions League. It takes moving heaven, earth, and all the planets. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City broke every bank on the planet to beat us with a solo goal after an hour last year. They sweated their way to that for multiple years coming. I was disappointed in the Inter fans that thought qualification to the Champions League quarterfinals was like tipping your cereal box over and just getting a toy out of it. It doesn't happen like that. What we did was go to an Atletico side that, yes, they might have been fourth in the league, but they're going on a decade plus of doing what they do in the Champions League. There's a reason why clubs like Atletico and Dortmund can have an average domestic season and still put themselves on the UCL pedestal. They've got that pedigree, they've got that experience, and people will argue that no, Inter's just as a big of a club, if not bigger than they are, and they got to the Champions League final last season. All this is true, but all factors of modern football need to be considered. Inter's coming off a very stressful fixture list. We had a Saudi Arabia trip thrown in January. I mean, I think everybody expected us to start dropping points,
Yep.
and we'll get to your manager in a second, who's a focal point in all of this, not just for you but for us.
Yep.
Max Allegri threw us the biggest assist that I've ever seen in my life, and we just dunked that ball clean because he has just behaved like a narcissistic piece of you know what, and we'll get into that soon. But we were galvanized and we were spurred on late December by our exit in the Coppa Italia and other people starting to chat a little bit too loud. We won the Super Coppa. We've come back to win 10 domestic games in a row. And now we sort of had that luxury of moving into second gear for the end of the season. I feel great. I feel amazing knowing that the main objective is extremely close. I haven't beat my chest on it just yet because my PTSD is too deep, but even my past PTSD self is telling me everything's fine. You will win the second star this season because the maths is just starting to make sense too much. Mathematically, we might not seal it for another 3 or 4 games, but with the fixture list remaining for Milan, I don't think that they're going to catch us. So mission second star looks to be accomplished, my friend. And when it does happen, I feel like the last remaining Inter fans that are still annoyed by the Champions League exit will be able to take a step back objectively through a clear lens and see that this was the goal this season, and it looks like that we are going to achieve it. So overall, I'm very, very happy, man, because I budgeted for lost points well before Napoli. Well before Napoli. I'm talking away to Lecce,
Yep.
Atalanta, Bologna. There were so many games where I thought, okay, this is the week, this is the week, this is the week. But the week just never came. Came
Yeah.
against Napoli, but I don't think that's the perfect game to drop points, man, because no one walks away from a game with Napoli going, oh, damn, we really shot ourselves in the foot. Damn, we really took 3 or 4 steps back. No, it's a point against Napoli. You move on. That's my thoughts overall.
Yeah. On the Champions League, really quickly, it wasn't like you get like you shot like that's a game you shot yourself in the foot in the first leg. Like it could have been over. You didn't do that.
Definitely.
Atletico didn't took their chances, so they gave you a bone, especially in the extra time. You know, Turam, we know what happened at the end. It happens. Like Champions League, it's extreme far margins. You don't need to tell us that. We like I've been there far too often the last
Yeah.
I don't know 10 years, so I know that. So that cannot be like you cannot say, oh, it's a complete failure. Now, if this continues to happen in the next couple of seasons, and you start and you're still that team, you know, in Italy, you slash dominate or compete, then you can see it as a point where like, okay, we need to get over the hump. But overall, like the title of the show is two different worlds, and at this moment
Yeah.
in time, it is two different worlds between us on so many levels. Like it's sad to watch as a Juve fan because it gets worse every day. Every day somebody speaks, it gets worse and it gets worse. And what makes me even more sad at this point, not angry, sad, is that a lot of fans are dropping the standards and the conversation has shifted. The conversation now has shifted to Allegri's not going to win with this team. But nobody asked Allegri to win. You know, nobody said at the start of the season we need to win the Scudetto. Like no sane person was saying that. And then when I need to wake up every single day and I see ex legend and all those things talking about, yeah, but in the past we had Baggio and Zidane, and I'm like, we are playing Genoa at home, like
Yeah.
Udinese, Verona. What like you need Zidane, Baggio, Platini, Del Piero, like those were the names thrown out there. I was like, Mbappe, I'm like, what are we actually doing at this moment in time? You know, because it's bad. Like the situation is really bad. One win out of eight, it's bad. Like it's bad. Like it's, I don't know a word other than bad. But the only win came against Frosinone in the last minute by Rugani from a corner kick. That's it. You know, that's what we have. And in that eight game stretch, we played Inter, and that's about it of all the teams I rate. I'm not gonna lie. I don't rate Napoli. We should have won that game away. That's on the players. Like we messed up. Period. But the other games, I'm like, these are bad teams, and I don't want to debate that. Oh, but we don't have an attacking midfielder. I'm like, do you know the attacking midfielder playing for Verona? Like, I like, do you want the attacking player? Like, you know what it is? It's a lot of excuses, and then post game things are being said that are extremely disrespectful. You know, things like we want to point on Bologna, or um, we like we didn't concede a shot against Genoa. We can build on like I'm like, come on. And to top it off, we have no structure at the club. Nobody speaks. Nobody comes out and just. I don't want Ferrero, who is by the way our president. Probably you never heard of it. No worries,
No, no,
Juve
you're good.
fans as well. We never heard of him. But I don't want him to come out and say, hey, what Allegri said post game, ridiculous. I don't expect him to do that. But I expect him to come out and say, this is not good. You know, the goal is top four, apparently. Don't need to repeat that. But not like this. Like, come on. It's like your boss asks you something to do, you know? Um, and just by normality you're like, okay, I'll do it as quick as I can and as good as I can, and you come with a task 2 months later, you're like, I'm done, and he's like, yeah, it's done, but come on, like took that should have taken you a week or so, not 2 months. That's how it feels with the top four race right now. We're reaching
Mm.
potentially our goal, but come on, this is bad. And the excuse making, it got worse ever since that Inter game, because the narrative has changed towards, oh, we're never gonna win. But that was not the expectation. We were asking for the bare minimum. After 3 years, just something to look at and be like, you know what? Okay, we can work with that. The next coach who comes in, because I will be stunned if it's still Allegri, he will look at this and he will like, ground zero. There's nothing. Like there's nothing I can build on. I just need to start over all over it again. And that's just the reality of the matter, because players are underperforming, players are saying certain things, players are picking red cards for nothing. Like absolutely nothing. They're losing their heads. If somebody still is sitting there and saying this is a fantastic job after 3 years, you're making so many excuses. The job after 3 years is bad. No matter what the squad is, we had Di Maria, we had Dybala, we had Fagioli in the team, we had Bonucci, we had Chiellini. It's bad. Like people act like we have the Frosinone squad. They act, oh, but you don't rate Miretti and Danilo that highly. I don't. But you know what? I do rate him more than the teams we get dominated. I'll tell you that for free. That's the difference. People do not want to separate it. But it's two different worlds. And at this moment in time, you can speak on it. 1 win out of 8. The schedule we have is insane. We messed up. Like we played the bottom of, now we're playing the top. We play Lazio, Fiorentina, Bologna, Milan, Roma, Torino. Those are the games left. We have only Monza, Salernitana, and Cagliari, and I don't even want to say that's easy. Like the schedule is insane. But how? Like you've watched it from probably a good laughing standpoint of view. But how do you think we can get out of this? And what do you make of 1 win out of 8? But still, like the excuse making is through. Like it's out of hand right now. It's really.
The excuse making I thought was pathetic, and I wondered at the end of December what impact Max's words and his verbal arrogance was going to not only have on Juventus but on my side. And I think that my manager Inzaghi handled it very well by just going into his conferences with code of silence. 11 versus 11 on the pitch, the ball is round, whatever happens happens. Results speak for themselves, and Max Allegri is one of the most result orientated guys in the country. I mean, this is the guy that looked at his own fans and said, if you want to see entertainment, go to the circus. I'm here to win football games. Well, as of right now, man, you're not winning jack shit. You are crawling your way to a Champions League spot, which now occupies 5 places in Italy. And now you're telling me that you're reaching your objectives. Max, you are a loser. And you are sinking this ship so hard. And yes, as an Inter fan, it's fun and funny to see, but there actually becomes a point. And the point is when I talk to good people that I like yourself, where I take a step back and go, yo, you're in big trouble here, mate. You're in a situation here where you now need to worry about next season already, because that squad that you've got at the moment almost requires open heart surgery. And this is the same squad that your fans were putting up on Twitter and Facebook at the start of last season going, low-key, Juventus is building a squad to win the Champions League. Are you actually insane? Remember that graphic that
I
went up
remember
with
that graphic.
Bremer, Danilo, Bonucci, Locatelli, Pogba, and I'm just looking at it like, look, on paper it looks great, but this ain't FIFA, man. This ain't FIFA, and not everybody's rocking up with a high energy bar either.
No.
I think that the behavior into January, and I remember, yeah, because we haven't spoken in a while. I remember after our fixture, you were saying online just how disappointed and gutted you were with the arrogance and the approach prior to the Inter game,
Yeah,
knowing too well that nothing had been accomplished. The hardest was still yet to come. And on top of that, your fixation on the fixture with us actually caused you to drop the ball beforehand against Empoli. Empoli was a cat. Empoli was before us, wasn't it?
the week before.
Yeah, that when you guys dropped the points against Empoli, because I was starting to shit myself, man. My PTSD was getting very real at that point. I was like, they're coming for us. They could see us. We've got the Super Coppa. We've got the Champions League. This is bad. This looks like Milan 2020, 2021 all over again. I know that Inter did a great job running away with it, but I have firmly stood by my position that even though you guys should not have won the Scudetto, either or, I refuse to believe that a manager like Max, who has won it before on his salary in January at -1, cannot at least make it respectable until May. Lose the Scudetto by 4 points, 6 points, 7 points, 9 points. In fact, you know what? Keep it close until match day 34 and then lose it at the end, because everybody knows that sometimes the table at the end doesn't actually
Yep.
reflect in context. Remember, you guys beat us to the title in Conte's first season by 1 point. Not stupid. The title was lost at -12, I think 5 weeks before, 6 weeks before. And then nobody cared to play for you guys anymore because you got knocked out of the Champions League. So you just, I think, cruise your way for the rest of Serie A. The way that Max dropped the ball in January here with the amount of points, you referenced 1 in 8. I think altogether we're looking at, oh, you can correct me on this. What are we looking at? 4 or 7 points out of 28, something like that? Or is it even
Well,
less?
it's 7 out of 28, and one win. Yeah, something 7 or 8 points. It's
This
on
is
form. Like Sanitana, Frosinone, and somebody else. Genoa was on par with us in the last
I
eight
was
games.
about to say you're if you did the form table, which I haven't done, you're probably a bottom five side in the league
We're
since
bottom
the turn
four.
of the new
Yeah,
year.
we're bottom four.
Yeah, this is
Oh
nuts.
yeah,
This is absolutely
yeah, yeah.
nuts. And I listen to you a lot. I listen to Alberto. I listen to Beppe. I talk with my friends, and now everyone's starting to just realize and say that this collective effort, like the project, is bust. Now it's not even a point of pointing fingers anymore. We all know how much there is to blame for Allegri, but now you guys need to take a step back and go, what direction are we going in? And you open this video by saying there's a lack of structure and strategic direction, and that's scary because even all clubs at the moment have a lack of strategic direction, but your one requires foundational repair, players on the pitch, a manager. Is Juntuli going to be able to make that hard decision? Because by now I expected headlines to come out that saying like Max is done, he's finished at the end of the season, which he should be, and I still think he should. But the longer this continues to trickle into the end of the season, the harder it's going to be for you guys to reset the project again. It's a massive failure of a project under Allegri. These 3 years with no trophies, he might get his way to a Coppa Italia this season, but these 3 years have been an absolute disaster when you look back at it now. So
They have
yeah,
been.
I've
They have been like, and I get the lack of quality in the squad. Against you, against your guys. Like I understand that, but not so. Like, and it's been for 3 years. It's not a one-off. Like people like to forget the past. I'm not doing that as well. Certain approaches I don't like. Going away to Inter. Are you the better side? Yeah, but we look like a relegation side. Like that's not normal. Like I've seen
yep.
worse teams go to the Miazza and play better. Like I'm not. You can confirm that. I've seen worse sides play better at the Miazza. Oh, it's a big game. Inter are up for it. We should be up for it. Like, don't give me those lame excuses. And again, I can accept a loss against Inter. I hate it, but I can accept it. But not like the way we lose games. And after the Inter game, it was the focus. Oh, Vlahovic had a bad touch. I'm like, are you insane?
Yep.
That's what your big takeaway of the game. That's what how fans are. It's toxic, and maybe I'm part of it. Whatever, I don't care. But you have a part of the fan base after the game, and now still bringing up that Vlahovic touch, and I'm like, you are insane. Like because it's not a joke. People actually believe that could have changed the course of the season. It's ridiculous because if you believe that, go back a week before Milik got the red card. He benched Yildiz, who was on great form. It was absolutely not needed at all to bench Yildiz, and ever since he's not playing anymore. And on top of that, even now, people have an excuse for that as well. Oh, but he wasn't that good. I'm like, you're lying. Like you're lying now. Like he was good. He was very good, and we played
Mhm.
better than I don't know ever. And there was no
Our fan,
reason.
we were Inter fans were talking for weeks about him behind the scenes when he was playing. We're like, shit, they've actually found another element to their attack to replace the absolute dead legs. No disrespect to him, Federico Chiesa, and I'm sorry to keep saying it, but it's just biology. You can't recover from cruciate ligament injuries the way and be back to your best. And we genuinely thought behind the scenes, we're like, Allegri's still got that weapon. He's got the Yildiz, and Max
No,
Allegri giveth, Max Allegri taketh away.
he's not playing, and people like they will find an excuse. Oh, he's young. I'm like, but he was playing well. Like what if Barcelona think like that? Oh, Jamal, like he's young. Like it's like do not. Oh, but he's not Jamal. I never said he was Jamal. Like I never said that. But people go too far. Oh, he needs to learn. I'm like, to learn? Sitting on the bench, coming in for 5 minutes against Napoli. That's what you think is learning? People are brainwashed at this moment in time. They're absolutely brainwashed. But he doesn't give youngsters a chance. Look at Miretti. Look at Junior. I'm like, players playing out of position, playing only when forced because of injuries and all those things. That's not bringing in youngsters and developing. I'm sorry. And people fall for certain things so much and so many times. Oh, but he cannot play in a 3-5-2. Who says he needs to play a 3-5-2? Oh, we don't have a right back. We don't have a formation for a 3-5-2 now. People are dying. Junior is not a wing back. Chiesa is not like a forward. Like you want to talk about one position, but you forget the other players dying out there in that formation. You know what? Like it's ridiculous. And what I also don't like, and I'm actually fearful for the next guy coming in, he's set up to fail, because right now I can see the narrative is shifting. Oh, he needs to win. We need to win. This is Juve. I'm like, but you were not having that same standards the last couple 3 years. You like a lot of people were not having those standards. But now, because their guy is probably gonna move on, the next one he needs to win immediately, and it's not fair. Like it's a very weird situation. And the rumors out there from good sources are that it's done. Like they're like I know Gazzetta dello Sport tried to spin it a little bit today, but it's just impossible that he stays. Like it cannot. If the news comes out, he stays. I'm like, what just happened? Like
Yeah,
what just happened here? Like I will
yeah.
be absolutely. I probably do not. I will stay away from the channel because I have nothing to say. Like I don't know
Ah,
what to say.
you
Like
can't do
it's
that.
very clear.
You-
It's the end, and I don't know what the future will bring. I don't know if the future will be bright or very dark. But what I do know, it's dark now. And the last 3 years, there have been no improvement, and we need to accept that, as well as we need to accept we need better players, no matter who the coach is. But Allegri had different squads for 3 years. The result is the same. It's very bad football. Players do not get better. Actually, they get worse. And we have mental breakdowns. Is that on the players not being good enough? Fine. But I will spin it and I say the captain of this team, or who gets praised to be the captain, is part of it. However, he's never being mentioned when we have mental breakdowns. And I'm like, very strange, because he's supposed to be the captain, but every time these stretches happen, people are like, "Oh, but he's a good guy." I don't care if he's a good guy. He can be a good guy, like fine, but he's part of it, so you cannot dismiss that. But I don't know how we're getting out of that this in the for the final 9 games it is, because we need to win apparently 11 points. I don't know who did the math. Allegri did the math, probably calculating that other teams play each other. Like he did the math. It's 11 points. When I look at the schedule, I'm like, I have no idea where we're gonna get those 11 points. I really do not have a clue where we are gonna get those 11 points. But we need it because we need that money big time. We need that money big time.
if y- I do think that you will get Champions League. I think you're too many points ahead to drop it completely.
It's only 9. It's only 9.
I think at one point you were actually 27 ahead from fifth. I actually think, or was it
You know what?
24?
If
You were a lot of points clear at one
we
point.
were a lot, but if we just beaten like Udinese at home or Verona like we should, Genoa, it would have been clear. Like 15, 16 points, it would have been done.
Man, what the way you're talking now is exactly the way we were talking under Spalletti for 2 seasons. Like it's actually almost mirroring us getting to the end of the season going, oh, if only we turned that 1 point against Udinese into three, if only we had beat goddamn, Crotone instead of drawing 1-1. We'd be sitting here not needing 9 points in the last 18. But I get what you mean. And my big question to you is, because I'm just really conscious of time, I'm so sorry, is that this whole Motta thing, is it really the wise idea to just, bring Bologna to Turin and make that a part of your identity? Because when I look at your squad at the moment, because if you don't make Champions League football, I don't even want to know what it's gonna be like, because then that puts you into a part of the abyss that I'm not too sure how you crawl out from. Seeing the way that you've dropped off and the insurgent, the quick need for energy, do you really not think that Antonio Conte is now suited for this position more than ever before? I don't want him there. I mean, that's a surefire way to guarantee that you move it up a couple of tiers, in my opinion. But I'm really curious to hear what you say, man.
I see every whenever somebody brings up Antonio Conte, I see all the points. Like it's gonna what's now there is not gonna happen on the run. He will not allow what's gonna happen. What's happening now. However,
No way.
I think the club is looking long term, style of play, improving youngsters, younger squad, selling on players. That's the way to go now. When I look at Conte, I don't see him play with Sule, Miretti, Barnicea, uh, potentially Calafiori, like Cambiaso. Like, you know what? It's too much. It doesn't sound like Conte. What does sound like Conte is, can you sign Darmian for me? Potentially? Can you bring him in? Like, and that's not what the club wants to do. That's just the club made it very clear we're not doing this anymore. The
That's
future,
hilarious.
the future. Yeah, that's it. Like I think that's what the club is looking. And when Mota comes in, he needs time because he's still unproven, you know. But the only option we have is Conte or Mota, Italiano, Palladino. We're not getting Klopp, Zidane. Like these coaches are not coming, and I think the club knows that, and they're like, okay, something new, fresh start, new identity, new Juve. That's the way to go. But we will see how that will what will happen in the next couple of weeks because it will be extremely clear
Yeah.
very soon. So that's that. But I know you need to go, so we're gonna wrap this one up. When are you gonna win the league? That's the final question. How many days? How many games do you think?
What one thing you can almost quote me on, we're not going to break your record. We've lost that extra little bit of oomph. I think that requires that. I don't believe that that is an extrinsic motivator
Yeah,
enough for athletes. Like it really, like, and no offense to your fans, because I know that people are now putting it on a pedestal, but it counts for shit for me. I really don't care.
it
I
comes
really don't
naturally.
care.
Like if you're very close, you're like, okay, let's get it. But that's not
Yeah,
the main
yeah.
focus. It's not the main
So the
focus.
whole crack 100 points to me, I don't think it's going to happen, because I think that we've got a couple of banana skin fixtures against, like you go away to Udinese, and if they need a point just to solidify themselves, they can get a point at this point of the season. You don't really want to play the sides that are still fighting for their relegation battle. Um, for the first time this season, we are coming back from a rest, man. Like we have not had a rest for a long time. This 2 weeks off came at the best time for us because we come back at home against Empoli. I don't think that's going to be an easy fixture, but we need to get 3 points there. I really don't think that we're going to drop points at home to Empoli. That should then set the scene for when we can look at the fixtures left and say, okay, when are we going to win this thing? Everybody wants to win it against Milan in the derby. I'm not too fussed about it because I feel like that there's a pocket of fixtures that win for us either way. If we seal it the week beforehand, well, then they have to basically not give us a guard of honor, but they need to play us and we will be
Yeah.
champions. That is insulting. If we win it against them on the pitch at the end of 90 minutes, that is insulting. If Because the next week you have to play them.
Yeah.
If we win it and at full time you need to shake their hands while we're champions, it is insulting. So give me any of those 3 weeks and I'll be really, really happy, man. But it could even go 1 or 2 longer than that, especially if Milan decide to, do the thing that they're supposed to do, turn up at the Sun Siro at their home game and go, look, we're not going to win the league, but we need to beat them today. And I've started to tell some of my fans that I'm like, just let's get one thing straight. Milan will fight for everything if it prevents us getting the ego over them on that day. I'm still going to say that we win it the week after
Yep.
the week after the derby, because I can see you guys getting some points against them, and that will be the dagger right there.
I doubt we will we will get anything out of that game, but
Can I just say one thing before I go? I had this vision in my head of Milan leading you guys like 1-0 or 2-1 with a couple of minutes left. We've won our game. You guys get a penalty with 1 minute left, and Vlahovic has to step up and basically decide do I score this and enter a champions today, or do I sky it and just wait for another week, bro?
I think he needs to score because we need every single point at this moment in time. We have absolutely no choice. But Jesus Christ, it's
That's funny. No, but thank you so much for having me again
yeah,
on this channel. I
pleasure.
love it. I can't wait to welcome you back on mine soon. And yeah, like you said at the start, everyone who likes to watch us, stay tuned because we're just getting started.
Yeah. Thanks, people. Thanks all for watching. Like the video, subscribe to this channel. Also, subscribe to Anthony's channel. Link in the description. Definitely do that because we will work together more often in the near future. Thanks for watching. See ya. Ciao.